Welcome to Zomania. Today's topic is what is science? The earliest evidence of science can be found in prehistoric times, such as discovery of fire, invention of the wheels, and development of writing. Early tablets contain numerals and information about the solar system. Science became decidedly more scientific over time. However, now we come to the definition of science. Science is a systematic and logical approach to discovering how things in the universe work. It is also the body of knowledge accumulated through the discoveries about all the things in the universe. The word science is derived from a Latin word scientia, which is knowledge based on demonstrable and reproducible data. True to this definition, science aims for measurable results through testing and analysis. Science is based on fact, not opinions or preferences. The process of science is designed to challenge ideas through research. One important aspect of the science is scientific process, that it is focused only on the natural world. According to the University of California, anything that is considered supernatural does not fit into the definition of science. Now we come to the scientific method. When conducting research, scientists use the scientific method to collect data, measurable, empirical evidences in an experiment related to hypothesis. Hypothesis is often a statement that results aiming to support or contradict a theory. As a field biologist, my favorite part of the scientific method is being in a field and collecting the data. Told by James Tanner, a professor of biology at Marlborough College, told Life Science, but what really makes that fun is knowing that you are trying to answer an interesting question. So the first step in identifying questions and generating possible answers, that is hypothesis, is also very important and is a creative process. Then once you collect the data, you analyze it to see if your hypothesis is supported or not. The steps of the scientific method go something like this. Make an observation, ask questions about the observations, and gather information. Hypothesis, a tentative description of what being observed, and make predictions based on that hypothesis. Test the hypothesis and prediction in an experiment that can be reproduced. Analyze the data and draw conclusions. Accept or reject the hypothesis or modify the hypothesis if necessary. Reproduce the experiment until there are no discrepancies between observation and theory. Replication of method and the hypothesis must be testable and falsifiable according to the North California State University. Falsifiable means that there must be a possible negative answer to the hypothesis. Research must involve deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning is the process of using true premises to reach a logical true conclusion, while inductive reasoning takes the hypothesis approach. An experiment should include a dependent variable and an independent variable. An experiment should include an experimental group and control group. The control group is what experiment group is compared against. Now we come to the scientific theory and laws. The scientific method and science in general can be frustrating. A theory is almost never proven, though a few theories do become scientific laws, and one example would be the laws of the conservation of energy. which is the first law of the thermodynamics. Life science, this is favorite scientific law. This is one that guides much research on cellular electrical activity, and it states that energy cannot be created and not destroyed, only changed in form. This law continuously reminds me of the many forms of energy. A law just describes observed phenomena, but it does not explain why the phenomena exist or what causes. In science, laws are starting place. From there, scientists can ask the question why and how. Laws are generally considered to be without exceptions, though some laws have been modified over time after further testing found discrepancies. This does not mean theories are not meaningful. For a hypothesis to become a theory, rigorous testing must occur, typically across multiple disciplines, by separate groups of scientists. Saying something is just a theory is elaboration's term. Welcome to Zoomania. Please subscribe my channel. Today's topic is about cat. If you thinking for getting a cat, then this video is for you. Hope you like it. Having a cat means different things to different people. Some want a cat to cuddle and sit on their laps. Others are happy to live with a very independent cat, which spends most of its time outside and doesn't want too much human interaction. What is important is that you try to find a cat that will interact with you. If you want to it, all cats are not the same, and each individual cat behaves with you can depend on its inherent personality and early experiences, which can make it fearful or confident with people and life in general. The environment in which you keep a cat is also extremely significant. For example, if it lives with many other cats which do not get on, then it will be stressed you and will react differently than your if it was as well. What makes cats tick will help you to bring home a cat that should be able to cope with its new environment and be the pet that you want to. There are some following tips which can be helpful for you if you want to care a cat. You will need provide plenty of human companionship. Number 2, provide regular suitable meals with a constant supply of fresh water. Number 3, provide a clean and comfortable bed. Number 4, provide the cat with outdoor access or be prepared to empty and clean a little tray on a daily basis. Number 5, provide it with a stimulating and safe environment. Number 6, groom it regularly. Require daily grooming. Number 7, have it neutered between 4 and 6 months old. Number 7, vaccinate against the major feline diseases regularly. Number 8, foam regularly and provide treatments for fleas. Number 9, take the cat to the vet when it shows any sign of illness. And number 10, insure your cat or make sure you can afford the cost of any veterinary treatment it may need. How much care and attention does a cat need? As a pet goes, cats are relatively low maintenance compared to dogs, which need companionship, walking, training, etc. However, like any pet, they do need care, and some cats need more care than others. Do you want to spend a lot of time with your cat? Do you want it to be demanding, or do you have limited time? Cats can fit into busy, modern lifestyles more easily than dogs, as they are pretty independent and can be left alone much more easily. and are more suitable for smaller flats or houses. Cats are often chosen by people who have busy and stressful lifestyles and who want some companionship when they go home to relax. What do you want from your relationship with the cat? If you are the kind of a person who really needs to have a close relationship with your cat and to be able to handle it and have it interact it with you, then you will be disappointed if you take an nervous cat that hides every time you come into the room. You may want to think about one of the pedigree breeds which can be more interactive and perhaps more needy of human company than some Mogis. This may, however, become a problem for the cat if you are out at work all day and only available to give attention on evening or weekends. Some cats need to know exactly what's going to happen when in order to feel relaxed. Such cats would be quite happy living with an old lady or more lately has visitors and leads a very quiet life, but would probably find too quite stressful living in a home full of kids and other animals with lots of visitors and activity. Other cats, however, might thrive on different interactions with lots of people and fit in perfectly well in a busy household. If you are not likely to have the time or inclination to groom a cat on a daily basis, don't even think of getting a Persian or a cat with a long coat. In pedigree Georgian, any cat with a longer coat, aside from a Persian, is called semi-long haired because the coat is not as full as the Persian and does not have such a thick undercoat. However, it is still long and requires grooming. In addition, if you are extremely house proud, you may not want lots of hair everywhere. A short-haired cat is as much easier option as most cats are fanatical about their coats and keep them in accumulate condition. That's not to say that they don't leave hairs around. Bear this in mind if you are thinking of getting a white cat but have a dark furniture or vice versa. Likewise, a cat is quite likely to sharpen its claws indoors, often on the straight carpet, sometimes on the furniture or even on the wallpaper. Whether your cat does this can depend on their cat itself and also the environment you provide for it. However, there are things you can do to try and deal with this, but it is best to acknowledge from the outset that your cat is an animal with free will and natural behavior that may not suit someone who needs to have an accumulate house. Another question: can I have a cat with a baby or a young children? There is no reason not to have a cat or kitten if you have children. It is up to you to teach their children from the very beginning how to approach, stroke, and handle cats and to treat them kindly. Many children have fantastic responsibilities and relationships with their cats and learn about respecting other creatures and being gentle. It is done successfully all the time, but it is up to parents to lay down the rules. Perhaps taking on a new kitten when you have a new baby or a toddler might be a lot to handle at the once. So, ensuring you have a time for all the parties as a part of successful relationship. Likewise, if you are pregnant, there is no need to get rid of the cat. Simple and basic hygiene precautions and common sense management of the cat while the baby is small and can ensure all cohabit happily and safely. Thanks for watching. Like, share and subscribe Zominia and comments in comment section. Welcome to Zoomania. Today topic is how to choosing a birdie's cage. Choosing a birdie cage. The cage should be set up before you bring the bird home. Don't make do with a temporary cage while you find the time and money to set up a permanent space. If you are not able to buy a good one, step by, and it is by far the most expensive item you will never buy for this bird. You will just have to wait until you can. This will be your pet permanent home and you need to make it as perfect. What things are required for birdie's cage? Number 1. Pick a cage with enough room. The first feature of the cage that should be considered is the size. Birds are very active and most of their exercise from flying. The minimum space requirement for one bird is 18 inch to 18 inch into 18 inch and 30 inches into 18 inches into 18 inch for the two. Birds required horizontal space to fly. Purchase a cage that is elongated sideways rather than one that substitutes length with height. Tell the cage that narrow until suitable. The more space you provide your birds, happier they will be. Number 2. Choose a cage that is specifically designed for birds. A good brand and high quality bird cage that is designed for birds should be your first choice. While some brands advertise their cage for birds, in general not all birds have the same space or safety requirements. There are many cages for larger birds or the rodents, which may or may not be safe for your birds. Start with the cages that are specifically for birds and go from there. Number 3. Refrain from purchasing a round cage. Birds become stressed in cages that do not provide corner from them to hide. Round cages are often smaller for household convenience but are not suitable. Purchase a rectangular cage instead. Number 4. Look for a cage made of sturdy material. Birds are capable of chewing certain metals and can utilize their beak to escape. Wire metal stainless steel cages after that extra bit of security. Examine the cage to ensure there are no hazards or sharp edges on the wiring of the cage. Avoid cages made of lead zinc which can be harmful to your bird. Number 5. Ensure that the bar of the cage are appropriately spaced. 12 mm to half inch is an ideal space measurement for the girls of the cage. Anything larger and our birds will be able to get stuck between the spacing of the bars to escape. Avoid parallel bars where the birds might be able to slip their foot into a tight gap. The wires of the cage can run vertically or horizontally. Number 6. Purchase a cage with a secure door that locks. Birds are intelligent and inducive birds that can utilize their beak to open the door for the cage. If it isn't secure, does that slide up or down? Not a suitable choice as birds can easily escape by lifting the door up. Number 7. Place the cage in a suitable location. Place your bird's cage in a well-ventilated, temperature-controlled room that is out of the direct sunlight. Choose a room that is secured from the small children and other household pets. Place a food and water cup inside the cage. At least one food cup is needed and one water cup. These cups can be placed on the side of the cage for convenience and they should be refilled daily. Warnings: when they transported your bird in a travel cage, wary of the hanging objects such as a swing, toys, treats. They couldn't hit your bird. Be careful of scams on the internet. Best stay to sites like Amazon. Avoid toys as clips or toys that contain unnatural dyes or they may be choking hazard to your bird. Don't buy cuddle tents. Your bird can and get caught in the threads as they like to chew on them. If their foot gets stuck inside, they will self-compute and they could not choke. Avoid jungle bells. The slits of the sides are perfect trap for the bird's claws. Like, share and subscribe Zoomania. Welcome to Zoomania. Today topic is cell membrane for kids. According to cell theory, cells are the main unit of organization biology. Whether you are single cell or blue whale with trillions of cells, you are still made of cell. All cells are contained by cell membrane that keep the pieces inside. When you think about a membrane, it is like a big plastic bag with some tiny holes. That bag holds all the cell pieces and fluids inside the cell and keep nasty things outside the cell. The holes are there to let some things move in and out of the cell. The cell membrane is not a solid structure. It is made of millions of smaller molecules that create a flexible porous container. Protein and phospholipids make up most of membrane structure. The phospholipids make the basic bag. The protein are found the holes and help move molecules in and out of the cell. There are also proteins attached to the inner and outer surface of the membrane. Scientists use the fluid mosaic model to describe the organization of phospholipids and protein. The model shows that the phospholipids molecules are shaped with a head and tail region. The head section of the molecule likes water, hydrophilic, while the tail does not hydrophobic. Because the tail wants to avoid water, they tend to stick to each other and let the heads face better areas inside and outside of the cell. The two surfaces of molecules create the lipid layer. This is structure of the cell membrane, lipid bilayer and the protein molecule. These are the useful links. Like, share and subscribe Zoomania. Press the bell icon for subscription. Thank you. To Zoomania. Today topic is squirrel, their diet, habits and some other facts. Now we come to their classification and taxonomy. The taxonomy of squirrels according to the Integrated Taxonomic Information System is Kingdom Animalia, Phylum Chordata, Class Mammalia, Order Rodentia, Suborder Pyromorpha, Family Sciurida. Squirrels are the nimble, bushy-tailed rodents found all over the world. They belong to the Sciurida family, which includes prairie dogs, chipmunks, and the marmots. There are more than 200 species of squirrels according to the Integrated Taxonomic Information System, and they are categorized into three types: tree squirrels, ground squirrels, and the flying squirrels. These three categories are further broken down into many squirrel types such as albino, mountain tree, antelope, spotted gray, American red, Dolas, fox, pygmy, northern flying, southern Arizona gray, Idaho, arctic ground, Alberts, Franklin, Richardson, rock, white and black squirrels. Size. Since there are so many types of squirrel, they range greatly in size. The smallest squirrel is the African pygmy squirrel. It grows 2.8 to 5 inches in length and weighs just 0.35 ounces. The Indian giant squirrel is the world's largest known squirrel. It grows to 36 inches long and weighs up to 4 pounds. Where do squirrel live? Squirrel lives on every continent except in Australia and Antarctica according to the BBC. Tree squirrels typically live in wooded areas since they prefer to live in trees. Ground squirrels live up to their names. They dig burrows and system of tunnels underground to live in. Some squirrels also hibernate in burrows during the winter to keep warm. What do squirrels eat? To prepare for cold months, squirrels will bury their food in the winter months. They have store of food they can eat when supplies are scarce. Baby squirrels. A female carries her young for a gestation period of 29 to 65 days depending on the size of the species. Smaller squirrels have a shorter gestation period. According to the University of Michigan's Animal University web, mothers give birth 2 to 8 offspring at one time. Babies are called kids or kittens are born blind. They depend on their mother for around 2 to 3 months. Squirrels have 4 teeth in front of their mouth and constantly grow throughout their lives. They ensure that their teeth don't wear down to numbs and gnawing on nuts and other objects. These rodents have remarkable knitted bodies. For example, a squirrel has a padded feet with the cushions jumps from 1 to 20 feet meter long. Their eyes are high on their head and placed on each side of the head, so they can see a large amount of their surroundings without having to turn their head. They are also fantastic runners. Squirrels can run 20 mph. These are the important references, and the other informations are taken. Welcome Zoomania. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe Zoomania. See you next time. New topic. Please comment in comment section if you want to know about any topic related to biology and zoology. Thanks for watching. Welcome back to Zoomania. Today's topic is what are the basic differences between bacteria and fungi, in which we learn some definitions and examples. Definition of bacteria. Bacteria are single-celled microscopic organisms that are characterized by the presence of incipient nucleus and a few membraneless cell organelles. Definition of fungi. Fungi, single-cellular fungus, are eukaryotic that are characterized by the presence of chitin in the cell wall. Now we come to the cell type. Cell type of fungi. All fungi are eukaryotics. All bacteria are prokaryotes. Number of cells present in bacteria are unicellular organisms with simpler cellular structure, and number of cells in most fungi are multicellular with complex cellular structure. Some fungi like yeast might be unicellular. The size of the bacteria ranges from 0.5 to 5 micrometer, and the size of fungi ranges from 2 to 10 micrometer. Now we come to the cell wall. The cell wall of bacteria is made up of peptidoglycan, under which a cell membrane is present, and the cell wall of fungi is made up of chitin. Morphology. Bacteria are found to have 3 distinct shapes, like round cocci, spiral spirula, and rod-shaped bacillus. Morphology of fungi are found to have varying shape, but most of them are spotted in a form of thread-like structure called hypha. Now we come to the mobility. Some bacteria are motile with flagella, and fungi are immobile organisms. And the nucleus. The genetic material is a bacteria is localized in the nuclear region of its cytoplasm. The genetic material in fungi is localized in the nuclear region. Reproduction. Bacteria reproduce by asexual method like binary fission, and fungi reproduce through both sexual and asexual methods. Sexual reproduce like place through the fungal spores. Cell cycle. Bacteria have short cell cycle ranges from 20 to 60 minutes. Fungi have longer cell cycle ranges from 12 to 24 hours. Now we come to the uses. Beneficial uses of bacteria include the production of antibiotics, and other chemical. Beneficial uses of fungi include the reproduction of beer, bread, and antibiotics. Examples: E. coli, Streptococcus aureus, Salmonella typhi, Lactobacillus. Examples of fungi are Saccharomyces cerevisiae, Histoplasma, Aspergillus niger, Agaricus biorhus. Thanks, and subscribe, like, and share Zoomania. Today's topic is the white peacock bird information. White peacock are not albinos. Albino animals and birds have a complete lack of color and red or pink eyes. White peafowls have blue eyes. The white color appears other domestically bred for peafowl, but in different quantities. Chicks are born yellow and become white as they mature. A wide variety of color patterns have appeared in peafowl bred in captivity. They include the white and the pied white, which is combination of white and the usual Indian blue colors. The black shoulder pied, where the coloration is normal except of white underparts, wings and spots under the chin, and the black shoulder peahen, which is white sprinkled with black spots. They are usually tame birds, although exceptional individuals handled with care of all their lives may be more tame, at least tolerant. They will try to escape from pens back at a kick anyone that tries to touch them. Male peacock of any color pattern have extremely loud braying call that can be heard from miles. Peafowl of any color can fly. When white peacocks are bred to white peahens, all of their chicks will be white. White peafowl also contain the genes of black shoulder and pied color pattern. If the mated to different color birds, the result will be wide variety of colors in the chicks. Peacocks bred with a harem of up to 5 peahens. Peafowl generally live somewhere between 10 and 20 years in the wild, whereas in captivity they have been peafowl reported to have lived up to 50 years. Peahens usually lay what is called a clutch of about 6 eggs, incubating them of nearly a month before they hatch. Chicks are able to fly for short distance only 3 days after they are hatched. Best situated to rural areas, peafowl are free-roaming birds. They require room to range. They are kept as yard birds, free to roam within their territory. Peafowl can fly, so their wings must be clipped regularly. Peafowl prefer to live in areas with access to low trees and plants for food and shade. Peafowl thrive best in warmer climates. Today, people keep and breed peafowl for a profit or for a hobby. Some pet peacocks live in backyard while others are offered spacious farm-like surroundings. Peafowl need a place to root at night, filled with sticks and straws. Most shelters of peafowl are simple four-sided structure with a roof. Peacocks, just the males, are famous for their screeching calls. The extent of a specimen courtship calling depends on the peacock age and species, the time of the year, the number of peahens nearby, and localized ambient noise. Mating season, the time when they come into voice, starts between August and September. Peacock breed from voice and around December or January. If you want your peafowl to reproduce, keep one male and no number of fewer than 3 unrelated peahens. Once inbred female will lay 3 to 5 eggs in 21 to 28 days. Peafowl are omnivores. They feed on a flesh and vegetative fare, grain in their staple, but their diet includes fruits, seeds, plants, insects, fish, small reptiles, and the amphibians. Some peafowl owners cultivate seeds, green carrots, and alfalfa for their birds. Make sure your peafowl have a fresh water of all times. Peafowl are hardy birds with lifespan 15 to 25 years. Peafowl are subject to disease including blutism, cholera, avian tuberculosis, crop toe, Newcastle disease, and eye infection. Check your peafowl regularly from worms. Thanks and subscribe Zoomania. Today's topic is differences between habitat and niche. Table of contents. Habitat definition, niche definition, key differences, example of habitat, example of niche, references and sources. Definition of habitat. Habitat is a natural environment where a particular organism lives and utilizes the sources of that place for its survival, food, shelter, protection, and mating. Explanation. The term habitat has been derived from the Latin word habitere, which means inhabit. The habitat of an organism is characterized by its physical and biological characteristics. The physical factors include the nature of the soil, availability of land, sunlight, temperature, climatic condition. The biological factors include availability of food, absence and presence of predators. Main component of habitats include space, shelter, food, and water. Ideal habitat would constitute the appropriate amount of all these components, but that might not always be the same in case. Space is the area required by animals or plants to thrive, and the amount that space varies from one species to another. For example, animals like the carpenter ants might require few square inches of the space for the entire colony to develop colonies and find food. The contrast cougars are the solitary terrestrial animals that require about 455 square kilometers to land to hunt and live. Like animals, plants also require space in diameter and height. Thus, a large plant with a thick trunk and massive height might not grow or thrive in area like a park or a yard. The availability of the food greatly influences the habitat or place chosen by animal to live. Even enough space, water, and shelter available if isn't enough to the feed on, that wouldn't be suitable habitat. Water is another component of a habitat where all animals require some form of water, but the need for water might differ from one species to another. The shelter is the space required by organisms to protect themselves from predators and weather. The shelter can also be considered the space for eating, sleeping, hunting, and raising family. Habitat might change over time, either due to major environmental changes like a volcano tornado, due to changes in climate over a long period. Other changes might due to human activities like deforestation, urbanization, and pollution. Niche definition. Niche is a functional role and position of a species in its environment that describes how the species respond to a distribution of resources and competitors or predators. Like habitat, the niche is also determined by both the biotic and abiotic factors of the particular environment. However, niche represents the indication of the population. These factors its affects the environment and the organism within the environment. For example, a population in an environment utilizes the resources and breed produce more organisms within the increased resources for the predator. The term ecological niche is commonly used while dealing with living beings involved interaction of the organisms with. Niche is a part of a habitat of an organism and deals with the habit of survive. Niche involves the flow of energy from one species to the another, and thus it is important to understand how a species eats or interacts with other organisms. If a niche is left vacant, it can be filled by some other species. However, if an organism might create a unique niche for themselves, which reduces the competition for resources with other species. The spatial or habitat niche is a physical area with the habitat that the species occupies. Trophic niche is a tropical level occupied by species in the food chain or the ecological chain. The multidimensional niche consists of concept of fundamental niche and the limiting factors. Example of habitats are grassland, marine habitat. Example of niche are bird in New Zealand and panda bears. References: all information taken from wildlife website and microbi notes. Thanks for watching and please subscribe Zoomania. Welcome to second part, factors affecting osmosis. Osmosis is the result of various factors and thus the rate of osmosis is influenced by a number of such factors. Number 1, temperature. The rate of osmosis increases with increase in temperature of the system. This occurs because with the increase in temperature, the energy of molecules also increased. Number 2, concentration of gradients. As the concentration of solute molecule is essential in the driving force of osmosis, any changes in the concentration directly affect the rate of osmosis. Osmosis shoots up in the condition where the difference in concentration of solute across the membrane is higher. Number 3, water potential, solvent potential. The water potential across a semi-permeable membrane also influences the rate of osmosis. As the water potential of a solution is more, the water molecules can cross the membrane as the pressure exerted by the particle is increased. Number 4, surface area and the thickness of the membrane. With the increase in surface area, more space will be available to the molecules for their movement, which in turn will increase the rate of osmosis. Similarly, if the surface area is reduced, less space will be there for the molecules to move, which restricts their movement. The rate of osmosis also reduces as the thickness of membrane increase. Number 5, pressure. Pressure is an essential factor influencing the process of osmosis. At night, even change the direction of osmosis. If the pressure is applied excess to the pressure applied by the solvent molecules, the direction of the osmosis might change and the solvent molecules begin to move towards the region with more solvent concentration. However, if pressure less than the exerted by the solvent molecule is applied, it doesn't change the direction but does reduce the rate of the pressure applied in the same direction of the concentration gradient also increase the rate of osmosis. Thanks and keep watching Zoomania. Today's topic is osmosis. Definition of osmosis. Osmosis is a biophysical process occurring commonly in biological systems where solvent molecules move across a semi-permeable membrane towards a region of high solute concentration. It is a type of passive transport and is direct towards the direction that tends to equalize the solute concentration across a semi-permeable membrane. It is a common process taking place in most of the biological membrane in the organism. It is a biological system. The solvent mostly is water. However, osmosis can also take place in other liquids and even gas. As it is means of passive transport, it doesn't require any energy. Now come to mechanism of osmosis. How does osmosis work? This is the diagram in which the solution hypotonic take place. In order to describe the process of mechanism osmosis, we take two solutions separated by semipermeable membrane. One is the solution of pure water while other is the solution of solute and water. According to the definition of osmosis, in such a case, pure water moves across the membrane towards the solute solution. Several descriptions have been made to understand the driving force of the osmosis. One such theorem explains that the movement of water across the membrane results due to the concentration gradient of water in two solutions. This theorem, however, doesn't explain the process of reverse osmosis which occurs against the concentration gradient with the movement of the solvent towards the solution of lower concentration. Therefore, the process of osmosis has been explained with the concept of chemical potential. The chemical potential of pure water in one solution differs from the chemical potential of water in the solution with solute molecules. The interaction between the solute and water molecule reduces the pressure exerted by water molecule in the solute solution. As a result, the water molecules, the pure water exert more pressure towards the solution and lower solvent concentration. The pressure results in the forces of water across the membrane. This process continues until pressure on the both sides becomes equal, leading to the equilibrium. Thanks. Please subscribe Zoomania.